think the game would be better for it.
But you can't, as that's just played out in the offside, but you can't reduce the number of the overs anymore. I mean, it was at one stage, not that long ago, what is it, 108 in a day, and then it was brought down in various stages, and now it's down to 96. You can't keep bringing it down, I don't think.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, go back to my point I was making. You know, so many matches have finished well before the end of day 3. So
we've had an outstandingly good summer.
Well, that is a point, and you know, where a great deal of time has been lost. Yeah, fair enough. There could be you know, the opportunity to add certain overs, as there already is. But certainly today's batsmen are not able, it would seem, to see out more than the third or fourth or the sort of middle session of the third day in a lot of games.
No, at the end of this over, I will make my way for Cheatham. Oh, and that's a super shot there, pushed out through extra cover for... Yes, the fielder's not really going to catch up with that. It crosses the boundary. Way through deliveries, and I'll make way for Cheatham.
Oh, here's a very good update from Michael Shea. According to Essex Cricket's website, Dan Lawrence has a sore knee.
Oh, right.
Hence his absence to date. Thank you very much for that, Michael. We hadn't heard that, and that does explain the mystery of Dan Lawrence not appearing.
I often suffer from that, but I put that down to old age. As the next delivery, just played defensively. Head over the ball, it trickles out to mid-off. No addition to the score. Excuse me, frog in my throat.
298 for 7, and now Essex have got the deficit down to under 100. Now, in fact, it is what I said about 10 minutes ago. I must be some sort of prophet. They're 97 behind.
I've never associated you with the word prophet, bearing in mind...
No, how are you spelling that, by the way?
I was going to say, bearing in mind your encounters with your four-legged friends. And next delivery is just played again defensively and correctly. Head over the ball, trickles back to the bowler.
Well, this is a excellent effort from Paul Walter.
It is.
63. If he gets 6 more, he'll be the top scorer in the innings, unless someone from very low down absolutely excels themselves.
Go with his 4 for 113.
Yeah, I mean, he would be the first to admit, he said on the interview at the end of day 1 that he hadn't always put the ball in the right place, but you can get to Virat Kohli out, and it was a good delivery as well.
Final delivery of the over, assuming it's a valid one, which it is, and Walter just stands there really and places the bat in the way a bit and stops it. So end of the over. Essex 298 for 7. After a few more words from Paul, he'll be joined by Cheatham.
And 298 for 7, we've heard from Stuart McArdle. Thank you, Stuart. You say the late Dave Callaghan, who we love to remind ourselves of, sadly died in March, I think it was, just before the season began. The late Dave Callaghan regularly remarked that the county championship was the purest form of the game. I agree. Listening to you from Yorkshire. Thanks very much for that, Stuart. And so, with Nijjar yet to get off the marks, faced a few deliveries here, 11. Walter has 63 from 104 deliveries. Cheatham rejoins us, and it's going to be Ravi Ashwin in from the river end to bowl initially to Nijjar, who back cuts and was a nice shot. The yard either side, he might have had a boundary, but it goes straight to the backward point fieldsman. No run, and Ashwin, who gets through his over in incredibly quick time, is already on his way back in. Bowls, and this ball's lofted back, and he's off the mark here, Nijjar, with a nice lofted straight driven 4. 302 for 7-4 to Nijjar. Sorry, Cheatham, carry on.
If this was the display from the Indian spinners, I mean the Indian team management, I'm not sure, worried is the word, but Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav failed to make an impression, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Ashwin, well, he's shown better line and length.
Comes in again, bowls to Nijjar, nudges it away off the back foot to backward point. There's no run. 302 for 7.
And he's clearly the better bowler among the 3. There's no doubt about that.
Ashwin bowls to Nijjar, slit and a back pad. This one goes down to mid-on, no run.
But again, if you're looking to play two spinners in the first test, I really doubt that India will play three spinners in the first test.
Ashwin again, really getting through his over incredibly quickly, and that one could be left alone outside off stump.
So I misspoke there. So if India are looking to play two spinners in the first test,
Ashwin, I think this is the last ball of the over already. Bowls to Nijjar. Ooh, now was there an edge there? I just wonder about that. It would have been a very fine catch if he'd taken it. But anyway, maybe I'm wrong. 302 for 7 at the end of the over. 63 Walter and 4 to Nijjar.
Not sure there was an edge, but would have been a difficult take for Dinesh Karthik either way. So again, looking at the spin options, Ravindra Jadeja bowled 2 overs, none for 17. He's not on the field today. He's not bowled today. Kuldeep Yadav, he's bowled today in 4 overs, none for 24.
I don't think so, no.
On the basis of just those 6 overs, that doesn't tell you anything.
No,
it doesn't. Ashwin, obviously you play as your lead spinner, but if you're looking at your second spinner, who will you pick? Kuldeep Yadav, who's had a lot of success in the first part of this English tour so far, or his English tour so far, because I thought he was well read by Joe Root in the last 2 ODIs, or Ravindra Jadeja. Again, it's such a tough question. I'm glad I'm not the Indian captain.
Thakur is going to continue from the Hayes close end, bowling initially to Paul Walter on 63 not out. Walter's first appearance since way back in April in any form of the game at first team level, and he plays this first ball very pleasantly out into the covers. No run, 302 for 7.
I suppose there was a question about India's players participating more in county cricket. I had a chat with Ravi Shastri, who was the Indian coach, who became the Indian coach last summer. Had a chat with him in Sri Lanka when India were touring there in July and August, and it's been since then that plans were afoot to get a few players into county cricket ahead of this summer's tour.
Thakur is in again and bowls to Paul Walter, and Walter has swatted this ball away, and he rolled the wrist very nicely and got over that, and he's picked up 4 runs, as you'll gather from the applause in the background. He's hit the ball a little bit further in front of square than most people who might have attempted that shot. Got it out of the middle of the bat, rolled the wrist very nicely indeed. 306 for 7, and Walter is up to 67.
Spanking shot, and he's just faced 106 balls. Yesterday we had come back to that after this ball.
Thakur bowls it to Walter, and he's hit this one now. That's more in the air, but it's going down and goes to backward square leg. They get a single, and the score to 307 for 7, and Walter now joint top scorer here, joining another Essex youngster, Michael Pepper. Good to see these young players doing well. 307 for 7.
Yeah, so I was just going to talk about Pepper. He scored 68 yesterday of 74 balls, strike rate of 91, and we have Walter, who's going well. He's had a strike rate of 63, 65. He's taking on the bowling, more importantly. Attacked Kuldeep Yadav, which isn't very easy to do, I'm told.
Thakur is in and bowls to Aaron Nijjar, bouncer. Nijjar just genuflects, lets it go through, and a no ball is signalled here, and I think that will only go to 1 extra run on the board. It's in some of the one-day games it counts as 2, and in the county championship as 2, but I think this will be just 1 onto the board, which will make it 308 for 7.
I'm not going to say it's worrying, maybe a bit disconcerting that 2 young batsmen have been able to take on the Indian test quality bowling lineup so easily.
Thakur is in, bowls, and this ball is just dropped in front of him by Nijjar, who's a very composed fellow. He tends to have a lot of patience at the crease. There's no run, 308 for 7.
But again, coming back to that story about county cricket, so it was again last summer that these decisions were afoot. Pujara had gone and played county cricket before the tour of Sri Lanka, and at the end of that, Ashwin went and played some county cricket. There was talk about Ishant Sharma playing, and he's done that this summer as well. Varun Aaron, again, who's not in reckoning for the international cricket at the moment, but he did also play county cricket.
Thakur is in, bowls. That's a good delivery with a quicker ball there and it was just directed across the left-hander. Two left-handers in the middle. This one's Aaron Nijjar, who had the luxury of, in the end, being able to leave it. 308 for 7.
And again, obviously, there was the big news of Virat Kohli going and playing county cricket as well. Obviously, that didn't transpire because of his neck injury. That would have been a big headline grabber.
Yes. Well, we're going out for both online BBC Essex callers and delighted to have 5 Live Sports Extra listeners with us as well. I'm Paul Newton. With me is Chetan Narula. Dick Davis and Stefan Schamolt will be joining us shortly. Complete the team. Now that ball goes down leg side through to the wicket-keeper. There's no run. The end of 78 overs. Kartik takes that nicely. 308 for 7. Walter on a joint top score at the moment, 68 not out, and Nijjar just underway with 4.
And I'm also told that Ajinkya Rahane was trying to get a county deal done when he was not picked for India's limited overs matches, ODIs and T20s. It didn't work out because he was not available for an entire month, which is what counties look at to bring in the overseas players, play at least 2 or 3 4-day matches and a few limited overs games as well. So that was not happening because of the time constraint, and that is why he played the India game and not county cricket. So there is a concentrated effort to play more county cricket, perhaps looking at the England tour. And
and of course Virat Kohli was to have played for Surrey for a month.
Yeah, he didn't. That's why I said it would have been a huge headline grabber. So,
but he may well come another year.
Yes, I'm not sure next year because we have the World Cup as it is. But again,
as Ravi Ashwin comes in, bowls, and Walter didn't know a great deal about this. It's gone off an inadvertent inside edge down to the fine leg boundary. He moves on to 72, becomes Essex's top scorer, but that was probably one of his least inspired shots. 312 for 7. It went pretty much 180 degrees opposite to where he was trying to play it.
All of them count though. They go and however they'll play it, so he wouldn't mind.
He'll take them all day long.
Absolutely.
As here is the next delivery from Walter, plays it back to the bowl.
But again, there's also news that Ashwin has signed up again for Worcester. So after the Indian tour, he's going to stay back, and as India go to Dubai and play the Asia Cup, so he's going to stay back and play county cricket.
Comes in again, bowls a nice pleasant drive here from Walter down to sort of cross between deep mid off and long off. He's about 15 yards up from the boundary. 313 for 7. Walter to 73.
So again, like I said, there's a concentrated effort to play more and get more experience. What I would like to see is,
as Ashwin bowls to Nijjar, this is a leave.
I think the same person questioned yesterday, I'm not sure, I could be wrong, somebody questioned yesterday about Prithvi Shaw and Shubman Gill and the younger batch, why they're not on the tour. Obviously they're not ready yet, but
as Ashwin bowls again, Nijjar forward defensive, back to the bowler.
I would like to see them play county cricket next year. There's still, again, I don't think Shaw or Shubman Gill will get into the World Cup squad.
Ashwin bowls and Nijjar defends into the offside.
And again, I'm not sure if county cricket will be on while the World Cup is going on, perhaps not, but after that, there are not many international assignments. They won't immediately get in. There's still some time. They are knocking on the doors, but there's still some time. I would like to see the next crop take a much more refined step or much more concentrated efforts to get the next crop to come and play county cricket, because these cricketers, as much as they would like to play, you have to understand the international calendar is so crammed right now. I mean, September 11 is the last day of the schedule, the last day of the Oval Test match, and India are playing Asia Cup 6 days later.
Yes. And England in turn, although not that quickly, but they have overseas tours that are fairly early. So, as you say, the timetable is very crammed. And Walter plays the first ball of a new Thakur over, back to the bowler, smart bit of fielding, 3-1-3 for 7.
The Asia Cup starts on the 15th of September, and India don't play, I think, until the 17th or the 18th, but they have 2 matches in 2 games. They play Pakistan and then they play the qualifier back to back on 2 days. So it's so crammed that, yes, as much as they would like to come and play here, there's just a very limited amount of time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Two slips, both on the wide side. There's quite a gap between wicketkeeper and the first of them as Thakur is in and bowls to Walter. Nice shot, but just doesn't quite time it to perfection, so extra cover can move smartly to his left to prevent a run. 3-1-3 for 7.
And sometimes, the value of rest is really underrated. Virat Kohli came and said that, okay, I missed that month of county cricket, but it's sort of a boon in disguise because I was able to rest for that month because he didn't play the Afghanistan test back home. To think that Virat Kohli had a month off away from cricket, that's just unimaginable.
Thakur is in, bowls to Walter, may just be off the pad here. I think this is going to be a leg by. Rob White is the umpire, he will tell us one way or the other, and in fact there was a bit of bat in that as well. So single to Walter takes him to 74, went down to fine leg, and the score is 314 for 7.
There's so many niggles and so many small injuries that don't deter them from playing, but they are there. You have to take care of them because, again, it's so much wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, and of course a small injury can become a big one if you keep on aggravating it, as here's Nijjar playing it to backward point. There's no run. 3-1-4 for 7, and it's true in all the big team sports, football and rugby the same, that if on these chat shows someone says to one of the players, are you 100% Roger, and he'll say well, I don't think you're ever much more than 80%. And it's true, isn't it?
And there's so many cricketers in the past who've had that sort of injury which will never just go away. A bruised ankle which just doesn't get better or a bruised toe which just doesn't get better because you don't have time away from the game. So it happens in so many cases.
Here comes Thakur into bowl to Nijjar, who hits it firmly back to the bowler. There's no run there. 314 for 7, replying to India's 395.
So again, just to sum it up, yes, it's great to play county cricket. It's brilliant atmosphere, brilliant experience. But again, there's also the value of rest, there's also time, so many factors. But again, like I said, if the junior cricketers, the ones who are knocking on the doors, if they can find some time to come and play, they're already playing as part of the India A setup. But apart from that, if they can come and sign up, I think that's something that's really beneficial in the long run.
Thakur to Nijjar, and Nijjar's just flicked this off the hip, kept it down nicely, single to long leg, and the score to 315 for 7, with 5 now to Nijjar, 74 to the excellent Paul Walters, having a great game here. And Chetan will take up the commentary now, and Stefan Shamult will make his first appearance of the morning session.
315 for 7. Remember, India scored 395, so not too many runs in it at the moment. But that's not important because the result from this game is just inconsequential. What matters is if India can get a bat again today, as it looks like it'll be Ravichandran Ashwin who will continue to bowl from the reverse end. He's been the most impressive of India's 3 spinners. A slip and forward short leg in position, backward point also catching, short extra cover in catching position, as also shot mid wicket. On the back foot, cuts away from the fielder at backward point. This will run away for 4 towards the point boundary. Nijjar moves on to 9. It's 319 for 7. As I say, good afternoon, Stefan.
Notice you've got the seat in the shade again today.
Yeah, my iPad is not starting up because it's too hot.
Too hot.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, again, it was not an entirely devilish plan.
Well, Essex have held India up well. I mean, India having to work hard in the sunshine today.
As Ashwin bowls, this time pitching on the middle and off, turns away from the left-hander, but he's come forward and prodded it back for no run.
Oh, you're showing me that your tablet has got the little thermometer on it.
Yeah, emergency, it says, needs to cool down this time on the middle and leg, just drifted down the leg side, play it off the pads. No, it won't run for the boundary, but 2 runs easily. Nijjar moves on to 11, double figures for him as well. The score 321 for 7.
Yeah, Kuldeep Yadav, when he bowled a little bit earlier on, took some fearful treatment from Paul Walter. more control from Ashwin, his first appearance in the match.
This time on the off stump, just driven and found the fielder at cover. I think it's much more relief that Ashwin is bowling, because you have so many theories, injury, he was hit on the right hand, but it's good to see him bowling. Comes again from the river end to Nijar, who goes onto the back foot and prods it towards point for no run.
Yeah, you just wonder if even those 4 overs have just played Kuldeep Yadav out of the India Test side.
Too early.
Too early to say.
Too early to say. From over the wicket now to the left-hander. This time better line across the wickets. He's gone onto the back foot and defended it to Virat Kohli, who's stationed at extra cover. End of the over then. 81 overs have been bowled. It's 321 for 7. As I'll be making way for Tex soon.
Our time together has been brief, Chetan.
Still 2 sessions left.
Yeah, hopefully, we'll see each other again in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'll sit in the shade, you in the sun.
Okay, that's a good deal. Well, if you're just joining us, Essex began the day 237 for 5. They've moved that on to 321 for 7. Paul Walter still there on 74. He was dropped on 29 by wicketkeeper Dinesh Karthik, driving to his left off the bowling of Mohammed Shami. Essex have lost James Foster for 42 and Matt Coles without scoring. That was both to the bowling of Umesh Yadav. Umesh now has 4 wickets, but Walter now receiving good support from Aaron Nijar, who has 11. Essex 321 for 7 as Shardul Thakur comes into Walter, just clips the ball to mid-wicket, where a sun-hatted Ravi Jadeja does the fielding. 2 slips. It's actually Hardik Pandya who's replaced Shardul Thakur. And the second new ball has been taken. But Essex, India didn't think they would have to be bowling with the second new ball in this Essex innings.
No, I bet they didn't.
Welcome back, Dick. One of the slips just goes to short mid-wicket as Pandya is in now and bowls, driven up to mid-on by the tall figure of Paul Walter. It's been an excellent morning for Essex, really, and the longer that they keep batting, the less time they'll have to spend in the field underneath the sunshine. The more they're keeping India out there, just doing England a slight favour. The thing to bear in mind is that there are a couple of members of the India top order, Cheteshwar Pujara, Shikhar Dhawan, who'll want another knock. They didn't cash in the first innings, only 1 run between them. That first test match only a few days away. Here comes Pandya into Walter, who's hit on the pads. India half think about an appeal. It looks to be nipping down the leg side. Score remains 321 for 7. There is a wideish first slip, and then you could either call that a 4th slip or a fine gully. Got a point, a cover, a mid-off, a mid-on, shortish mid-wicket. Square leg is just going back towards the boundary in front of the pavilion, with a long leg too. Decent crowd in. Hospitality tents were filling up earlier this morning as Pandya bowls way down the leg side. And Dinesh Karthik has to skip across to do the work. I do wonder if more tickets were sold for today than any other day, Dick.
It's quite likely, isn't it, a Friday? Yes. Although I know a lot were sold for yesterday, and I'm pleased to see that that Essex will be compensated by the ECB for that, so they won't lose any money over the conditions of the game being changed, or the duration of the game being changed. They will be compensated.
Warm sunshine in Chelmsford again, possibly a degree or 2 cooler than it was yesterday. Pandya, slender figure, in now and bowls to Walter, who defends, just dropping the ball at his toes, and then most obligingly picks the ball up and underarms it back to Hardik Pandya. I'm not so sure that Walter would be allowed to pick up the brand new ball if this wasn't a friendly fixture.
Yes, such is the conspiracy theories of first class cricket.
Dinesh Karthik, the India wicketkeeper, has his hands on his knees. Behind him there are two blue helmets that are being employed at the other end when R. Ashwin is bowling his off breaks. Here comes Pandya. It's a short delivery, very, very short, so short that even the tall Paul Walter doesn't have to duck to sway out of the way. It's the end of the over. Essex 321 for 7, rapidly closing in on that India first innings total of 395.
Yes, I mentioned that I was pleased to see that Essex have been compensated by the ECB for the loss of income tomorrow, but they can presumably only be compensated for loss of income that they've definitely incurred, like obviously those who'd bought tickets for tomorrow have to be compensated, which in turn will be got back off the ECB. But fringe benefits like bar profits, which would have been considerable with the weather like this, presumably they can't be compensated for, because you can't prove that you would have made X £1,000s on the bar. So Essex will lose over it undoubtedly.
R. Ashwin, the off spinner, into Aaron Nijar, who defends with soft hands towards the point fielder. Ashwin's bowling round the wicket to the left-hander. There's a slip and a short leg, a point, cover, short extra cover, long off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a square leg. Ashwin in once more. Nijar defends with the outside half of the bat. If you're being unkind, you'd call it an edge. The tall Ishant Sharma has to run away from backward point towards third man. 2 taken, 323 for 7. Essex can be very pleased with the way they've acquitted themselves with the bat over the past day or so.
Yes, they certainly can.
Short leg has gone to Gully. Ashwin, that double jointed action,
Yes.
bowls towards Nijar, who defends, and Ashwin has his head in his hands. Heard an excellent description of Ravi Ashwin, or R. Ashwin as he prefers. It's like he bowls like a man trying to escape from a pair of handcuffs.
Yes.
And again bowls, and Nijar is edging towards third man. He'll pick up 4. Outside half of the bat. Nijar not really looking to send the ball behind square on the offside, but for all the same, 327 for 7, and Nijar has 17.
Yes, not a controlled shot by any means, but a fruitful one. The fruit being 4 runs. Yes, it is probably literally a unique action. Unique's a vastly overused word nowadays, but I think this can be described as unique.
Bowls once more Ashwin. That's a much more controlled drive from Nijar, but it goes to the fielder at cover. Ashwin hadn't been seen in the game, but when he came down the steps from the pavilion, you knew it was him. He sort of has his trousers quite high around his waist. He's quite a stocky figure, dark haired, in and bowls to Nijar, who once more just defends into the offside. So another over negotiated by Essex. We are 12 minutes or so for the lunch break. 327 for 7, Paul Walter 74, Nijar 17. Who knows, Essex may even earn a first innings lead.
Yes, they could do.
It's been relatively low intensity stuff from the Indians. That catch by Dinesh Karthik was dropped. There's no great urgency in the field, but they must also feel a sense of frustration that they can't get through this Essex batting lineup, particularly the likes of Darwan and Pujara, who'll be wanting to bat once more.
Yes, couldn't agree more, Stefan. Yes, Essex are doing a very good job, not just for their own cause, but indirectly for England's cause, really. But not that will be uppermost in their minds. I'm sure they're just wanting to get as many runs as they can.
Pandya scoots into Walter, goes down the leg side. Karthik does the work. Pandya's bowling at the far end, that's the Hayes close end.
And I'd have thought Walter has already staked a very, very good claim for return to the Essex first 11 in one format or the other, but he'll want hardly even dare talk about 3 figures, because that's still quite a long way away, but he'll be looking to get as many runs as possible.
Pandya pumps his arms towards us and bowls to Walter, gets the ball to long leg via inside edge or inside half of the bat. Single taken, 328 for 7. Pandya sticks out a left arm like a man directing traffic, then a right arm. He wants this field changed for the shorter figure of Aaron Nijar. It looks like the leg side is going to be reinforced, that maybe Nijar might be about to get a taste of the short stuff. There's a leg gully going in, and the square leg fielder, is he going to walk out to the boundary? No, he's going to take up a position next to the umpire. So the two splayed slips, point to mid-off, everyone else on the leg side, as Pandya slightly angled run outside the off stump and Nijar leaves alone.
Both these two batsmen usually spend their Saturdays playing league cricket in the Essex Premiership. Paul Walter plays for Billericay. I can't remember who Nijar plays for, which I ought to know. I'm usually across my local club cricket. Be interesting to see whether, since they, this game has been abbreviated, whether they'll be playing club cricket tomorrow. My bet is at least one of these two will be playing club cricket tomorrow.
If they are playing club cricket tomorrow, what a story to tell. Pandya in and bowls down the leg side. There's an appeal for a catch. I think that's just brushed Nijar's front leg. India are pretty convinced. It was a good take by Kartik, diving one-handed. Hardik Pandya was less convinced, and Aaron Nijar is thoroughly nonplussed by it all, just doing a little bit of gardening. And now Kartik and the leg slip fielder, I think it's Ajinkya Rahane, are just having a little giggle about it all. 328 for 7.
As you do.
Yeah, can you imagine going back to playing the league cricket, talking to your teammates? Well, what did you do yesterday? I was in the office yesterday. What did you do? Well, I faced Ravi Ashwin.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Pandya, skating approach to the crease. Outside the off stump, Nijar drives. It's misfielded by Ashwin, and Nijar will get 4 for that. Ashwin looks rather accusingly at the turf. Maybe it did bobble just before he tried to affect the long barrier. Either way, it's through him. Cheers from the Essex crowd. 332 for 7. Essex are only 63 behind.
Yes, quite. Yes, and just to continue your scenario, then the response is, I don't care who you were playing against yesterday. Look at the board. You're still on bar rota this evening.
Yep. You're cleaning the dressing room.
Yes, that's right. Yep, the showers, the dressing rooms, and then you're on bar duty.
Nijar and Kartik are now having a little chat. Nijar has just pointed to his right thigh, just to indicate to the India wicketkeeper where the previous delivery may have made contact with. All fairly genial and friendly stuff.
There's no reason for it not to be, is there? No reason on earth.
Pandya is in front of the huge white sheet that is being employed as the sight screen. He's
quite effectively so too.
And now he's coming in towards us. Short delivery that Nijar's almost ducked into. It's gone through on the bounce to Kartik, who can't stop it. 4 byes that will be. Well, that ball hasn't got up at all. 336 for 7. It was a bouncer that Nijar almost ducked into, and then Kartik, who isn't having the greatest day with the gloves.
But he didn't yesterday either, did he? Although I thought he was a bit unlucky that a couple of 4 byes were indicating, which I thought should have been 4 wides on each occasion. Yes, yesterday he let through, well, technically 14 byes. I think 8 of those should have been wides, but 14 byes and several more today.
And there's just a few ironic and teasing cheers coming from the Essex crowd now. They know that the home side are closing in on India. They can maybe just sense a touch of frustration from the tourists. 336 for 7. Essex, yes. 59 behind. And Virat Kohli is at extra cover, and he's gesticulating to the dressing room, and helmets and pads are being run off the pitch, and now fielders are being sent here and there. There's a change in the bowling. R. Ashwin withdrawn. Pace of Ishant Sharma returning here at our river end. You just wonder if tempers are rising slightly.
Well, possibly. It's as if Essex haven't quite read the script. You know what you're meant to do in this game. You're meant to give us at least 2 opportunities to bat. We'll remind you over lunch.
Walter waits with his bat raised, and Ishant bowls, and that's just hit Walter on the thigh pad and trickled into the offside. There'll be no run taken.
But then to a large extent they have themselves to blame, because had Kartik taken that catch off Walter, I'm pretty sure that India would be batting again by now. Or the Indians rather, as we should call them.
Walter He's a really tall man. The bat looks smaller in his hands than it does in many other players. He's got a slightly strange stance in that his back foot, his left foot, is parallel to the crease as you would expect, but his right foot, front foot, is opened up, so his toes are pointing towards the bowler.
Yes.
The bowler is Ishant, his black hair bobbing up and down. That's outside, caught at gully. Paul Walter goes for 75. He's prodded at a wideish delivery that maybe just nipped away from him. He was playing with the bat away from his body, thick outside edge, and it was well held by the fielder at gully, fourth slip, around about head height. He went very quickly and he tumbled backwards and managed to cling on. So Paul Walter goes for 75, a really well made 75, and Essex are 336 for 8. And Paul Walter, quite rightly, is getting warm applause from the Chelmsford crowd.
Warm applause and a standing ovation, because the crowd like him. The crowd think he's had a raw deal this season, and who are they to say, who are they to be wrong? And so they warmly appreciate that knock. So Paul Walter 75, second highest score of the match, and the highest score for Essex didn't quite eclipse Kartik's 82 with the bat, and that was caught by
Ajinkya Rahane to the catch.
Yep, Rahane, it says on the scoreboard.
Sharp bit of work. You know, he sort of had two options really: either caught it or he wore it.
Yes.
Because he got himself, even though that the catch didn't go particularly high, Rahane was crouching and in a position whereby if it had gone through his hands it would have probably hit him in the teeth.
Yes, there's a pretty good incentive to hold on to it, isn't it, really?
So Feroz Kushi is the new batsman.
Oh, right.
Number 10 for Essex. I'm fairly certain he played no part in the game on the first day, and then he was in the field yesterday morning when Essex wrapped up that India innings. He's a right-hander and he's scratching at his guard. If you're just joining us on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra or online with BBC Essex, Essex began the day 237 for 5. They've just lost their 8th wicket, 336 for 8. My name is Stefan Schemmelt. I'm alongside Dick Davis, and later on today on Sports Extra he'll hear coverage of the 19th stage of the Tour de France from around 2 p.m. Here comes Ishant Sharma into Kushi for the first time, and Kushi leaves alone a ball that's quite wide of the off stump.
Yes, despite the fact that I've been following Essex uphill and down dale for more decades than I'd care to admit, I can't really tell you very much about Feroz Kushi at all, except he's a right-handed batsman, and I think that is the extent of my knowledge of him.
Well, what we can say is he only has 3 minutes to
Yes.
survive until the lunch break. In those 3 minutes he'll probably have plenty of company. At the moment there is a leg slip, 2 slips and a gully, a point, big gap to mid-off, a mid-on, a mid-wicket and a long leg leaning on the advertising boards. There's Ishant in again, and again that's outside the off-stump, and once more Kushi leaves alone. I think what we can say with a reasonable amount of certainty is that India will probably have to come out and field in the afternoon session.
Yes, because with 8 wickets down, and if a wicket were to fall now, they'd probably go off to lunch anyway, wouldn't they? So
I don't think Essex will be keen on a declaration during the interval.
No, why would they? No.
Ishant, tall figure with goatee beard around his lips and on his chin, bandages on both elbows, sweatband on his left wrist, bouncy approach. Again that's outside the off stump, and Kushi leaves alone. 336 for 8. There is one delivery of Ishant's over remaining. He has figures of 3 for 53. 2 minutes to go until 1 o'clock, so we'll probably just get one more over.
I think they will, yes. So admittedly we've got 2 more sessions and probably an over of this game to go, but I wonder if this has answered many questions for the Indian selectors, or asked more. Maybe the last 2 sessions will provide a few more answers, but maybe not from the bowling point of view, they won't.
Ishant stoops in the first part of approach and he stands tall and bowls to Kushi. That's on the hip, and Kushi gets his first run, a single behind square on the leg side. Score moves on to 337 for 8 at the end of the over, probably the penultimate over before the break. Nijar has 21, Feroz Kushi has 1, and Essex are 58 behind on first innings.
I'll be doing an update into the 1 o'clock news for BBC Essex listeners, and that may well be while this over is still in progress. I think that probably be in about 3 minutes' time.
Which will come first, the lunch break or your update?
Yes, I think my update will be. Never quite sure how long these news bulletins are. They're about 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, the bowler at the far end, who looks to still be Hardik Pandya down there at the Hayes close end. He's vigorously shined the ball on his right thigh, and now he's come scooting into Kushi. It's well outside the off stump, moving away from the right-hander, and Kushi leaves alone with a flourish, almost saluting Pandya with his bat as he does. 2 slips and a gully in place. The umpire is on the offside, and he's having a good old discussion with the point fielder.
Fairly amicable, I think.
Yeah. Short extra cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, as Pandya bowls to Kushi's edged for 4. Well, it's bounced just in front of the second slip fielder, the diving Shikhar Dhawan, and Dhawan couldn't get a hand on it, and the ball raced to the short third man boundary for another Essex 300 rather, and 41 for 8. Kushi moves to 5.
Yes, that was never a chance. As Stefan said, it bounced in front of him and slightly to the right as well. So that can't go down as among the list, albeit a short list of opportunities missed by the Indians.
It's been a feature of Virat Kohli's captain. He's often quite reactive. Before there was 2 slips and a gap. Now we have 3 conventional slips and a third man. Sometimes there's a little tendency to follow the ball.
Yes.
Pandya into Kushi once more. It's outside the off stump. Similar delivery to the one that he edged actually, but this time pushed towards point.
Yes, it can either be seen as reactive or shutting the stable door, depending which way you look at it.
Pandya, no rush in walking back towards his mark. He's trudging over the brown outfield. We had a little bit of rain in Chelmsford last night, but it was a dribble really compared to what is needed across the whole country. Pandya in now, and he bowls, and Kushi wants a single on the offside but thinks better of it as Kohli, the mid-off fielder, comes in and hurls the ball to wicketkeeper Dinesh Karthik. 2 deliveries of the morning session remaining, and what's been a pretty good morning for Essex. They've lost 3 wickets. James Foster for 42, Matt Coles without scoring, and Paul Walter for 75. They've moved on from their overnight 237 for 5, so they've already added 104 runs for the loss of those 3 wickets. Hardik Pandya vigorously shining the ball. He's in no rush to get to lunch. He wants to make sure that the red leather's in the best possible condition it can be. He juts his elbows out. He comes in towards Kushi and bowls, and Kushi drives for 4. Lovely stroke, over pitch by Hardik Pandya, and Kushi eases it through the vacant cover region. 345 for 8. Here comes Dick's update for BBC Essex.
Essex have had a good morning, and we're still in the morning session, albeit there's only 1 delivery to go, and Essex taking their overnight score of 237 for 5 on to 341 for 8. As you say, the star of the morning, or the innings so far, has been Paul Walter, who went on to make a splendid 75 before being well caught in the gully. And other wickets to go today, James Foster, who made a good 42. Matt Coles was also out second ball for a duck. So their players are just walking off to lunch now, with Aaron Nijar 21 not out and Feroz Kushi 5 not out, and Essex are 346 for 8.
Yep, as you heard there, as Dick was updating BBC Essex listeners, the final delivery of the morning session was bowled. It was down the leg side from Hardik Pandya, not threatening anyone other than the gloves of Dinesh Karthik. Essex end the
You said you hold me closer. You said you stay right here. Did I miss the sentence when you said I love you, dear? I felt I needed something to think on something else. The feelings that I'm feeling doesn't matter, I guess. You gave me a rusty, broken heart, but what am I to say? I tried to tell you many times, but again you turned away. But now I know you're telling lies. I look upon the stars, so I'm asking you to come back, to move on and tell me why. Everybody, if they're sorry, got something to say. Take it over, move your shoulder, make it go away. Learn the lesson from depression after all these years. Take it back, it's mean, it's black. You knocked me down to tears.
Thank you for subscribing, bro. Thank you for subscribing. I need you guys to love and support for, so I can, upload more videos and do more live stream. Thank you guys. I think in future I will even consider it either Twitch or Facebook, because over there, like, you cannot easily strike anyone, because even like YouTube is like auto system. If someone, submit a strike against you, they will down you, like they won't even confirm first. They will down you and then let you know, hey, your channel is down, or we took down your video. So I will update. I will update. I will let you know. अगर मैं Facebook पे जाता हूँ या Twitch पे आता हूँ, guys please share the video so और बंदे भी हमारे साथ जुड़ सकें.
বিশ্বসেরা হতে